morning everybody, so I hope you're all ready to go this morning. We're going to be looking at doing a story and writing it about an ocean and going diving into an ocean after we've had a go doing a spag task. Now today, yes, the video for today is quite a long video, however you can spread this over a couple of lessons. It doesn't need to be just all done in today's lesson, but the reason why it is longer is because I am going through and I am modelling how to write a story so that you have a really good idea of it as well. So I'd like for you to please watch the video, put your work on Seesaw after, as I'd love to read your stories. Okay, so we're going to look at inverted commas to start with, and inverted commas are the same as speech marks. So when somebody speaks, we put inverted commas around it to show that it's somebody speaking. So there are two places where we put inverted commas when we're using direct speech. We use them at the start to open up what is being spoken, and we use them at the end of what has been spoken. So when somebody stops speaking, that's when we use them. Now we start off with a 66 and we finish with a 99. Now the way to remember this is 66 is smaller than 99, so 66 goes first. So it's almost like the example here. If your hands were speech marks, you're 66 and you're 99, you would put this only around what is said. So Sid would not say, said Sid. Sid would only say, what's the matter, Dina? And that's where the inverted commas would go around. Now when we're using punctuation, there are also some different places where these go as well. So punctuation is really important to use. Now we need to make sure that we have a capital letter to start with for what is being said. We also need capital letters for any names, so things like Dina and Sid, they're both names, so we need to make sure we've got capital letters. Then, before the inverted comma, before the 99 at the end, we can see that there is a question mark. Now, the reason why the question mark is here is because it must go before the 99. So, it might either be a question mark if it is a question, it could be a comma if it's not a question or an exclamation, it's just what's being said, and then we've got an exclamation mark that you could use if it is an expression, if it's something that's shock that's being said. And then of course we need a full stop at the end to show that it has finished the whole sentence. Now, because whether you use a question mark or an exclamation mark inside of the inverted commas, where it then says said, we don't need to put capital letter because that is not finishing the sentence. We would just leave it as a small case because that's just continuing the sentence on. Now you can see at the bottom there are some examples of other punctuation in the direct speech. So we've got, how exciting is it? Exclaimed Sarah. So we've got the inverted 66 at the start, how exciting is it? We've then got our punctuation, which is the exclamation mark, because it's how exciting is it? It's an expression. Then we've got our 99 after our punctuation, and then we've got who has said it. So instead of saying it said, you could say exclaimed or whispered or shouted Sarah. And then obviously Sarah needs a capital letter because it's a name. It's a name and a full stop at the end. Similarly, we've got I don't know what to do, said Saeed. So we can see that I don't know what to do is what is being said, so I would put my inverted commas around that. I would need my punctuation, my comma, before my 99 because it always goes before, and then I need to say who has said it, said Saeed, and a full stop at the end. Now the reporting clause is really important when we're doing direct speech because it tells us who is speaking and how it is said. So for example, what's the matter, Dina? Said Sid. Now what's the matter, Dina is what is actually being said. So Sid is saying that. But we need to know who has said it. So it says, said Sid is going to tell us, report who has said it. If Sid said it in a different way, he could have done asked Sid, whispered Sid, uttered Sid, shouted Sid. Now obviously if we read it as whispered, we would know that Sid is going to say, what's the matter, Dina? He's not going to be shouting it. Whereas obviously if he said it in a different way, such as shouted Sid, we obviously know that the way that he speaks, whatever it is he's going to say is going to be slightly different. So I'd like you now to have a go at correctly punctuating the speech. So some has been done for you, however there's a lot there that hasn't been done or they might be incorrect. So I'd like you to have a go at writing out these 5 sentences and I'd like you to find the punctuation. Think about your 66 that goes first, then your speech, what's been said, your punctuation and your inverted comma, your 99 and then your reporting clause of who has said it. So you need to get off the bus here, said the driver. You need to think of those 5 things. Actually there's 6 things because we need capital letters as well for you to have a go at doing. Now use the hand to help you. We've got your starting, your 66, your capital letter, what is being said, your punctuation, inverted commas, and then who has said it, so you'll have to say who has said it after. Once you've had a go at doing that, please press play and we'll go through and see if you have got them all correct. So let's have a look to see, have you got the same as these? So you need to get off the bus here, so that's what's being said. So we needed to put a 66 at the start. Obviously the 99 is already done for us, but we did need to have a punctuation, a comma just after here and before the 99 to show that it is the end of what has been said. However, because it is not the end of the sentence, it does not need to be a full stop. The second one, stop annoying me, shouted Sophie. Well, what has been said is stop annoying me. So our 66 would go before stop, our 99 would go after me, but because there's a piece of punctuation, it must go after the punctuation, so that is where the 99 would be. Who goes there? Grumbled the troll. Now, because it is a question, it's so important that you put a question mark. Now, your question mark goes before your 99, and obviously because it's not the end of the sentence, you wouldn't need a capital G for grumbled because it's just continuing the sentence. Number 4, what a beautiful day it is, rejoiced Sheila. Okay, well, Sheila wouldn't say rejoiced Sheila, so the 99 has to finish after the exclamation mark because it's saying what a beautiful day it is. That's what she's saying, rejoiced Sheila. And finally, that's all the money I have, explained Frank. Now, Frank wouldn't say explained Frank, so we know that the 99 has to go at the end of what he said, which will be after the comma because it has to go after the punctuation. Okay, I would like you to pause the video now and I want you nice and quickly, not to spend too long on this, to have a go at writing a conversation between these parrots. So, for example, I'm going to show you an example first, then you might have a go after. I'm first of all going to name my parrots. So one of my parrots is going to be called Bob, the other one is going to be called Fred. So Bob and Fred are going to be sat on the branches having a conversation. So Bob at the minute is my one on the left that is looking at Frank. So I'm going to say, hey, exclamation mark, you are sat on my branch. And I'm going to put another exclamation mark because it's an expression. Now that is what Bob is going to say. So because that's what he's going to say, I'm going to put my 66 before it and I'm going to put my 99 after it. But remember, it must go after the punctuation. I'm going to put my 99. And I'm going to say, how is he going to say, hey, you are sat on my branch, shouted Bob. Remember, Bob needs a capital letter. Shouted Bob. We could even say how he has shouted it cruelly. Shouted Bob cruelly. Oh, just slightly change that. Cruelly. Full stop. Now that's what Bob's going to say. Now when you tell me what Frank's going to say, you're going to put it on the next line. So on the next line, I'm going to write, Frank is going to say, who says the branch belongs to you? Now, because that's a question, I would put a question mark. Who says the branch belongs to you? And because that's what Frank has said, I'm going to put my 66 before who says the branch belongs to you, because that's where he starts to speak, and he finishes when he said belongs to you after the punctuation, so I put 99, and then I will say who said it. Responded, oh, Frank. Full stop. So I would like you to have a go at doing this. So you can either use mine as an example, but what I would like you to do is for them both to speak twice. So obviously Bob spoke, Frank spoke, then Bob will speak again, and then Frank will speak again. So I'd like you to have a go at doing that. And please check where your punctuation goes, that you've got your 66 at the start, you've got your capital letter to start with, you've got your punctuation after what has been said, your 99 at the end, and then who has said it, the response clause. Okay, so we're going to have a quick quiz now, so to see if you know whether it is correctly punctuated. So is this correct? So if you need to pause the video now, pause it. Do we think this is correct? We're having roast chicken on Sunday, said James. You should have said that the inverted commas are not being used correctly because the inverted comma at the minute, the 99 is at the very end, but James would not say said James. The inverted comma should be after Sunday and after the comma. So we can see that that's where it should be. So your answer was no. Have a look at this one then. I didn't win at bowling, but I still had fun. Do we think it is correct? Pause the video now, yes or no. Can you say why, or if it needs any changing, think about that. Okay, we do know that yes, it is correct because the 66 is at the start, the 99 is after the punctuation, after what has been said, so we know it is correct. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Do you agree? Yes and no, or no, and can you explain why? If it's yes, can you tell me why? If it's no, tell me what's wrong about it. Okay, you should have seen that the answer is no because a sneaky piece of punctuation is missing from the direct speech. Now this is because we have got our 66, our capital letter, what has been said, but we haven't got our punctuation before the 99. I've never been to France, so we would need to pick. Okay, so I'd like you to look at this picture and I'd like you to think, first of all, think about what you can see, what you could describe, how could you, maybe how would the divers be feeling? Who are they? What are they going down to search for? So I'd like you to first of all just have a look at this picture and pause the video now and see what can you see in this picture. Maybe you could write some ideas down and then we're going to have a look to think about how can we develop this into something. So I'd like you now to think about these questions. What are the three people diving in for? Why are they diving into the water? Is it a sea, a river or a lake? What is the difference between each of these? What equipment are the people using it and why are they using it? What other equipment might they have worn? What might they see underwater? Are humans good at swimming? Which other animals are good at swimming? And what makes certain animals better swimmers than others? So I'd like you to have a think of these questions now. Pause the video and look at the picture on the screen. I'd like to see if you can have a go at answering these. Now you can either write the answers down or you can have a go at just thinking out loud and speaking out loud what these answers are. So having a think about what questions. Maybe you could come up with your own questions as well to think, well, from this picture, what else can we see from this picture? So I'd like you to have a think of these, maybe have a go at writing 2 of your own questions as well, linked to this picture. Okay, so description time. So we're going to now describe our experience as if we were one of the divers. So I would like you to pick a diver that you're going to be. It could be that you're just taking off or you've just entered the water. So we're going to have a think about some feelings. So I'd like you on a piece of paper to write feelings in a book. Just like this. So now what we're going to do, I want you to think, and I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to think, and I want you to picture as if you were a diver and you were about to dive into the ocean. And I want you to think about how you would feel. So picture you taking off, maybe just stood there to start with, then taking off to dive into the water. How are you going to feel as that diver? So I now want you to open your eyes, and I want you to write some of these feelings down. So here are some I've come up with. So I've got feelings of excitement and happiness because I'm so excited to get in the water to see what's under the water. However, I've also put apprehensive and anxious because I might not have dived in this water before. I don't know what's going to be under the surface. So we can start to think about the type of feelings that we might feel. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to think about, from where you're standing, what can you see? So we're going to think about describing the setting. So I'd now like you to write a bubble and write in the middle, setting above the water. And draw a little bubble around it, and then pause the video whilst you do that, and then once you've done that you can play the video. Okay, so let's have a think about what we can see from on top of the water. So you'll be able to say that you can obviously see the water. Now, how could we describe the water? What could we describe it as? So we're going to think of using some adjectives. So I'm going to start by describing the water. So I'm going to say that the water is crystal clear. Crystal clear water. I want to say what it's doing. It's going to be splashing. I think of an adverb now to describe it. Clumsily. Against the boat. You could even have an adjective to describe the boat, to describe it. So I've got there what I can first see. So I can see the crystal clear water splashing clumsily against the boat. Okay, I'm now going to think of how I can describe what the weather is like. So I'm going to say that if I'm going to go diving, and it's going to be a clear, pleasant. Pleasant's another one for like peaceful. Pleasant Saturday morning. With what else can I see? The sun rising, so the burning sun rising. I'm going to add an adverb. How can it be rising? Elegantly into the you could say if it's cloudy or if it's not cloudy. Think about yours is going to be, so I'm going to just put into the sky. Obviously you can add some more adjectives in there to show to really think about what it's going to look like. Okay, so I've got what the water's like, I've got what the weather's like. I'm going to now think of what I'm wearing. So if I'm going to go diving, I might be wearing a wetsuit. So I'm going to say a jet black. If it has been drying already, it might be crispy from drying. So crispy, jet black, crispy wetsuit. We might also say what the wetsuit's doing. It might be hanging tightly or hanging loosely. Normally, if it's a wetsuit, it would be tightly, hanging tightly to my body. I might say slender body if you want to have a slender body. So now I've got what the water is like, what the day is like, and what my wetsuit is like. So I'd like you now to pause the video, and I'd like you to go and have a go at doing just like I have done here, to use lots of adjectives, adverbs to tell me about the water, about the weather or the sky, and about maybe what you're wearing, so your wetsuit that you might be wearing. Once you have done that, press play and we'll have a look at how we're going to then turn it into a story. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're not going to write the full story now, but what we're going to do, we're going to start to write our opening paragraph. So this is a starting sentence that we could use. However, we could really use what we've put into our descriptions there. We could then put it into our story. So this one starts with, it was a beautiful clear day and three divers plunged into the water. Plunged just means entered, but if you're plunging something, it tends to be with water. So we're going to have a go, and I'm going to help model it, and I'm going to show you how we can use our ideas which we've just thought of and how we can incorporate them into our story to start our starting paragraph until the point where we have entered the water. So we're going to use our ideas. So to start with, we wrote about the sky. So we'd said about what the sky looked like, we said about what the water looked like. So let's start with, I'm going to start by using my clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. So I'm going to use that sentence to start mine off. However, I'm going to obviously need to add a little bit extra to give some information so that my reader knows exactly what it is. So I'm going to start with, it was a, I'm going to now copy my sentence. Clear, pleasant, Saturday morning with the burning sun. Sun rising elegantly into the sky. So that can be your starting sentence. So I'd like you now to just go and write that first sentence where you described what the day is. Is it a sunny morning? Is it lunchtime? Is it afternoon or evening? So I'd like you to go and include it was a clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. So pause the video now, go and write your sentence. And then once you've wrote your sentence, don't rush ahead. Please stop there and come back to the video. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to think about our feelings. So, and you as the diver. So we've said that it was bright burning morning. Now you as a diver wanting to go diving, at this point you're probably feeling quite excited to get in the water. So I'm going to continue it. So it was a clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. I'm going to then say, knowing all the, I'm going to think of a word now of something to describe what I'm going to say. Knowing all the, so I'm going to use the word breathtaking. Knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today, comma, to break my sentence up, knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today made my heart skip a beat with excitement. So there I'm saying something about a feeling. So you could say something like that. Knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today made my heart skip a beat with excitement. So I'd like you to have a go now at writing a sentence to say how you would feel. So at this point, you've not thought about feeling worried about what you're going to see and not knowing. It could be the fact that you've not been in the water for so long, so you can't wait to get in. You could say something along those lines. It was a clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. Having only been a diver or having only been in the ocean once in my life, I couldn't wait to explore the magnificent underwater world that was ahead of me. So it could be something like that. So I want you to now think about the feelings that you said to see if you can get a sentence in there. So once you have done that, press play and we'll have a look at doing the next part. So we're going to use our ideas. So to start with, we wrote about the sky. So we'd said about what the sky looked like, we said about what the water looked like. So let's start with, I'm going to start by using my clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. So I'm going to use that sentence to start mine off. However, I'm going to obviously need to add a little bit extra to give some information so that my reader knows exactly what it is. So I'm going to start with, it was a, I'm going to now copy my sentence, clear, pleasant, Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. So that can be your starting sentence. So I'd like you now to just go and write that first sentence where you describe what the day is. Is it a sunny morning? Is it lunchtime? Is it afternoon or evening? So I'd like you to go and include it was a clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. So pause the video now, go and write your sentence. And then once you've wrote your sentence, don't rush ahead. Please stop there and come back to the video. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to think about our feelings. So, you as the diver. So we've said that it was bright burning morning. Now you as a diver wanting to go diving, at this point you're probably feeling quite excited to get in the water. So I'm going to continue it. So it was a clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. I'm going to then say, knowing all the, I'm going to think of a word now of something to describe what I'm going to say. Knowing all the, so I'm going to use the word breathtaking. Knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today, comma, to break my sentence up, knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today made my heart skip a beat with excitement. So there I'm saying something about a feeling. So you could say something like that. Knowing all the breathtaking scenes I would see today made my heart skip a beat with excitement. So I'd like you to have a go now at writing a sentence to say how you would feel. So at this point, you've not thought about feeling worried about what you're going to see and not knowing. It could be the fact that you've not been in the water for so long, so you can't wait to get in. You could say something along those lines. It was a clear, pleasant Saturday morning with the burning sun rising elegantly into the sky. Having only been a diver or having only been in the ocean once in my life, I couldn't wait to explore the magnificent underwater world that was ahead of me. So it could be something like that. So I want you to now think about the feelings that you said to see if you can get a sentence in there. So once you have done that, press play and we'll have a look at doing the next part. Okay, now I'm going to say about putting on my wetsuit and getting ready to go. So I'm going to start with an adverb, and because I'm so excited to do it, I'm going to use the adverb eagerly, because that means you wanted to do it quickly. Eagerly, comma, I'm going to then say pulling on my, and then I'm going to use my ideas which I've used here. So pulling on my jet black crispy wetsuit, or I could say my jet black wetsuit which was still crispy, or it could be which was still damp from the last time I wore it, which was still crispy from drying in the warm sunshine. So eagerly pulling on my jet black wetsuit which was still crispy from drying in the warm sunshine. You could then say feeling how you felt. I was overwhelmed with excitement. It brought a smile to my face. Or you could even say how it was hanging to your body. So eagerly pulling on my jet black wetsuit, which was still crispy from drying in the warm sunshine. I was overwhelmed with, and I'm going to put enjoyment. I could then say about it hanging to my body. So instead of saying hanging tightly, I could say tightly. So starting again, tight with an adverb, tightly hanging to my slender body. You could then say about taking your position and putting on your goggles. So you could add some extra adjectives and extra detail there. So tightly hanging to my slender body, comma, because I want to break up the sentence. Something took my position. I carefully took my position on the, I'm going to call it the bathing platform because that's what the back of the boat is. Bathing platform. Oh, I can't just quite get it on. So tightly hanging to my slender body, I carefully took my position on the bathing platform at the back of the boat, ready to descend into the water. Okay, so you could add some extra detail to that. So now I'd like you to have a pause of the video. I'd like you now to get to a point where you've said about putting on your wetsuit. It could be that you're putting on your goggles. It could also be that if you're a diver, you will need a diving an oxygen tank, so lifting up the heavy oxygen tank to put it on your back to then go and find your position. And then saying that all the way up to the point where you are standing on the bathing platform or on the back of the boat ready to dive in. So I'd like you to pause the video now and get to this point. Once you get to this point, you can play the video and we'll have a look at the next part of our sentences. Okay, so now we're going to think about our next part. So now we're going to think about staring down. So I'm going to use what I have come up with. So staring down at the, and then I'm going to use my information on this side, crystal clear at the crystal clear water that was splashing clumsily against the side of the boat I could then say how I felt. So staring down at the crystal clear water that was splashing clumsily against the boat, side of the boat, a wave of, if you're feeling like you're going to go in, it might be apprehension. A wave of apprehension came over me. So there I've said, staring down at the crystal clear water, what I can see, and I've also said the feeling that I'm now starting to feel a little bit apprehensive, a little bit anxious, a little bit worried. So I now want to say about where I am, so to leave the reader, to hook them in, to think about when I then start to continue writing next time, that the reader's thinking about what they're going to read next. So a wave of apprehension came over me. I was about to dive into the unknown. If you don't know what you're going to see, you can say where it is, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's Pacific. Remember, obviously need capital letters. Ocean. Into the Pacific Ocean. So that's almost leaving it to kind of hooking your reader so that they are wondering then, you're about to dive in, what's going to happen. You could even finish it with, what was I going to see? I couldn't wait to jump or dive. So I'd like you to get to a point where you finish it, where you are saying that you're about to dive. You haven't taken off yet. That will be our next part. But where you get to a point where you're just about to dive into the ocean and tell me how you feel. So now I'd like you to have a go at, once you've had a go at finishing it, getting a different coloured pen or pencil and going and actually adding in any extra adverbs, adjectives, turning them into expanded noun phrases. If they are an expanded noun phrase, making sure you've got a comma between your adjectives, different sentence openers, so making sure that you've put all that detail in. Now then, once you have done that, I'd love to see your work on Seesaw, so please do put it on, and then obviously the next lesson we're going to be looking at writing the next part of our story, so that we are actually then heading into the water.